All right. Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas to everybody, and welcome into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike, and it's good to be back, and it's good to have you back here hanging out with us. As you can see, that we are remote again tonight, which unfortunately is one of the product of the times. But hey, before we get into everything tonight, let me just say good evening to you listeners, and we'll run through some housekeeping stuff before I bring in my co-host here tonight, and we talk about the usual things that we talk about. So first and foremost, a couple housekeeping items for you. Here's where you can find us online if you are so interested in that type of thing. First place is our website, which is ahhpod.com. That's AHHPOD.com. Head on over there to find out more about our show, more about us. You can listen to our show. You can find all of our social media platforms, and you can read our blog, which we will be updating more and more periodically as the new year comes. You can also find us on pretty much every social media platform, but specifically YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for America's Hometown Horror. You'll find us right on there. We'll pop right up there. And you can also email us if you feel so inclined at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com if you feel like dropping us a line. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention our two partners in Fright, first of which is Horror Facts Magazine. You can find them at horrorfacts.com. It's a great resource for any horror fan. If you're looking for news, reviews, horror podcasts, just like ours, go to horrorfacts.com. You'll find us on there along with a lot of other great horror podcasts. And last but certainly not least, we have partnered with the first in Fright since 1979, Fangoria. And we are giving our listeners an exclusive 20% discount on all Fangoria merchandise. All you have to do is go to shop.fangoria.com/hometownhorrorpod and use the code hometownhorrorpod at checkout for an exclusive, again, 20% discount on any merchandise. And that includes your first-time magazine subscription. So if you're not a subscriber to Fangoria, I would highly recommend that you get on their mailing list for the new year, for the Christmas season, because as always, Fangoria, I'm sure, has a lot of good things coming up in the new year. And let's bring in our co-hosts. Tonight, I am joined by the studious, the illustrious, Andrew Byers. Andrew, what's up, bud?
What's up, man? How we doing? Good evening.
Good evening to you. You look very festive with your Christmas sweater.
Yeah, you like my dinosaur Christmas sweater? Pretty sweet.
I do like it quite a bit. Very, very nice. Excellent. Good to have you on. Good to be back. And of course, our good buddy, Matt Audette. Mr. Audette. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Hanging out. Ready to talk some horror. Am I back?
You're back. Are you using the old computer?
Jesus Christ. No, this is the new computer. I'm sorry about that. Did you guys hear everything I said before everything cut out, or was it back?
Yeah, you were good until you dropped off.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, anyway, in case everything didn't go through, I have to say, yeah, last week or a couple weeks ago when we recorded that episode, I was in a bad way, as I said before. I was absolutely hammered, and that was because of our friends over at the Bar Talk podcast. They decided to have me on their show and thought maybe I could make a day of it and do more than I thought I could. And what you got was me just being a drunken mess on the show. So thanks to Matt, Andrew, and Kat for carrying us on Silent Night, Deadly Night.
It was pretty funny to go back and listen, to be honest.
Oh, I can imagine from an outside perspective. I can tell you that editing that episode was fucking horrific. I was, my God. Talk about not even secondhand embarrassment, just firsthand embarrassment, just listening to yourself ramble like a fucking moron. Jesus Christ. But anyway, yeah, so you can... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, there's like a handful of points where you can hear me and you just like giggling, like off, kind of like to the side. Like I was cracking up at that. That was funny.
I definitely have to listen to that one. I haven't listened to it yet.
I was fucking shattered. And I mean, yeah. The bartender at Day Drinking and Matt, I was hanging out with your wife. We were filmed together, so I can't wait to see when it does come out. But it should be fun. Yeah, we were drinking like bourbon and tequila and fucking blue frozen drinks and everything. And this is all at like 11 o'clock in the morning, so it was a long day. I decided to keep drinking beers after that, and it was a bad decision, I have to say. Anywho, Well, anyway, yeah. So now that that's out of the way, thanks again for sticking with us. Hey, guys, we like to have fun here on the podcast, too. We've never prided ourselves as being super, super duper serious. And sometimes those things can happen. But anyway, guys, happy third belated birthday to us.
We should have like kazoos or something we just blow.
I know.
Whoopee cushions.
I know. I know. I got to tell you, I mean, we have under-celebrated our anniversary and our birthday for the last couple of years, and I think we're overdue for maybe a belated birthday celebration. I know we have, some good stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, because as always, we like to plan out a bunch of good stuff to talk about here on the show, and I know we have, a couple different things coming up next week. I'm very excited. I know we're all very excited to talk about our top 10 horror movies of the year. That should be a fun episode to talk about. And then we get a couple other good things coming up in January, including the second annual version of Janthology, which we'll talk more about as we get closer to it. But it's crazy to think that it's been 3 years. I know, Matt, you just it's almost a year for you at this point. But Andrew, crazy to think that we've been doing this bullshit for 3 years, man.
Yeah, it's amazing how far we've come from some of those early episodes. So
have we come very far? I'm not quite sure that we have.
Aside from last week, that was a throwback episode,
dude. Yeah, last week for me was that was pretty close to one of our early episodes. That was like close to It Follows, where we just we were all too drunk to, and we just none of it was useful at all. We had to re-record it. So I guess in that sense, we have come a long way since then. So yeah, happy third birthday to us. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, happy third birthday to us. If you care about such things, we've been around for 3 years, and there's 3 years worth of episodes. You guys can all go back and listen to one episode a week for 3 years. So that's quite a few episodes, which
damn impressive.
I was going to say it is impressive, and I'm happy that we've stuck with it because this is a lot of fun, and I love doing this every week. So, and I'm happy that we are expanding this year, and we brought Matt on board, and couldn't be happier with it. So,
love it.
Kat would say,
I'm glad to be
fun
here.
To have book club.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have Kat here tonight. She's feeling a little bit under the weather. I guess I feel like everyone's a little bit sick this time of year, so. In good faith, we decided to, do things remote just to keep everybody safe, and here we are. Yep, yeah, exactly. Keep everybody sick so we can open some Christmas presents with our families and have a good old Christmas time. Let the Yuletide roll, baby. So, anyway, now that we got that stuff out of the way, gentlemen, I know that we're our group text thread has been alive with a lot of things that we've been watching over the last couple of weeks since we recorded last. Who would like to go first, or I can go first if you'd like. I know I watched a couple of things.
I have a lot, so I don't mind going last or first.
I'll go first.
Okay,
I'll go first. So I know I have a couple things here that I watched that you guys have either watched or watched recently. I guess I'll lead off with the fact that I finally pulled the trigger and watched Speak No Evil.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and Kat did too. Kat did too. So I will say, and I have a feeling that we're going to talk a lot more in depth about this movie come next week when we, we do our top 10 of the year, because I think this is going to fall, at least on our list or pretty high on our list for a few of us here. It was a very upsetting watch, I will say. It was a very slow burn until it wasn't. And as a new parent, or I can imagine as not even a new parent, it's an incredibly devastating watch, about as bleak of a movie in a long, long time. The ending is really something that does stick with you, and oh man, yeah, it was a lot to handle for sure.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it's
maybe we'll save our thoughts, you guys, until next
really
week.
Need to say much about that, because bleak is about as nice a word you can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a well-made movie. I really enjoyed it a lot, until I didn't. And there's definitely a few things that are in there that I think that I'll never forget. It's definitely one of those movies that you remember where you were when you watched it. I know a lot of people have kind of compared it to Matt. I think this was you too, but like Audition. That type of a gut punch type of movie, like that type of fucked upness. So
Irreversible.
Yeah,
that's another one.
Yeah, Yeah. I do have some notes here from Kat, too, if anyone does care what Kat has to say, since she couldn't join us tonight. I know she was very disappointed that she couldn't join us, and she did want to share some thoughts, which I applaud her effort. This is what she wrote for Speak No Evil. I feel bad saying this. This is a direct quote from Kat, by the way. I feel bad saying this, but 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for Kat for Speak No Evil, which would not have predicted that. She says that she thinks that you guys hyped it up so much that it wasn't as big of a deal as she thought it was going to be, but it was definitely graphic and horrific. Yikes.
Okay. I guess I agree with that. I mean, I don't think you like. What did she like? That was one of the most brutal endings of a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little bit tougher than we give her credit for.
I guess
so, dude. Yeah.
I was heartbroken at the end of that movie.
I sat there in silence for 45 minutes.
Yeah, right. Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, Speak No Evil. I have a feeling that'll come back up again next week, so I don't want to go too much into it. But a couple other things. Andrew, I know that you also watched this movie. You watched Slashback on Shudder, as did I.
I did. Yes.
I think I liked it a little bit more than you did. I know you were very passionate about your strong feelings for this movie.
It just was kind of like, I mean, I feel like it's a coming of age movie. I feel like this movie's clearly not meant for 40-year-old men.
Well, I'm not 40. Thank you very much.
Neither am I, but close enough. Closer to 40.
None of us are 40.
So if I closer to 40 than I am to being a teenage girl. So
that's true. That's true.
It was just so poorly acted. I thought the acting was terrible.
See, I didn't think the acting was that bad. I thought, if anything, the CGI and the special effects definitely let it down a little bit, aside from a few parts.
I was disappointed.
Matt, did you watch this, Matt?
No, you guys made it
not yet. Bad. So, I don't want to spoil it too much for you. I mean, I think you said maybe you're going to sit this one out.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it. You can spoil it.
So, I guess if I had to describe this to the average person, this is definitely like The Thing mixed with like Attack the Block, which those are 2 movies that I really like a lot. Obviously, The Thing is one of my all-time classics. And you throw in like a little bit of like Reservation Dogs, that show. It's on FX because it's all native people that are in this. And yeah, I guess, Andrew, the acting wasn't necessarily the strong point. There were some kind of cool visuals. I thought that like what happens to the people that get taken over by this alien parasite was pretty cool. It almost kind of reminded me of like the Zeke the Plumber episode of Salute Your Shorts back on Nickelodeon in the 90s. If anyone even knows what I'm even talking about there, I can tell by both your faces that you don't. That's okay.
I should, but I don't.
Not Salute Your Shorts fans? Okay. Google, do me a favor and Google Zeke the Plumber, Salute Your Shorts when you have a moment, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so if you haven't heard of this movie, this is basically, it's an alien invasion story where it's a bunch of Inuit people up a couple miles south of the Arctic Circle. So very much The Thing vibes in that sense. And it just kind of takes off from there. And if you've seen The Thing, or if you've seen, Attack the Block, you kind of know where it goes from there. It wasn't great, but I've had worse times with things. And I know Andrew hated it.
I like the skin suits over like the worm alien things. That was kind of cool.
There's worms.
There
were tentacles. So of course I'm going to defend it. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just think I was disappointed because I thought that movie had so much potential and it could have been so much better than
it certainly could have. Yeah. I definitely was not as impressed as I was hoping that I would have been. But then my final watch, I'll touch on this very, very briefly here because I don't have much to say about it because it was fucking horrible and I couldn't even finish it. Was excited to watch this one on Shudder, and I'm disappointed to say that I didn't like it, and that's Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Whoo boy. Oh man, I just could not get through it. Basically the premise for this, if you haven't heard of it, it's a cool premise. It takes place on Christmas Eve into Christmas, and it's a robotic animatronic Santa Claus from a toy store that goes on a killing rampage in a town. You'd think that sounds cool. It's really not that fun. There was just something about this that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And have either of you guys tried this? No.
Is it new to this year?
Yeah, it's new. It came out within the last month. It's got like a few actors that you'd recognize. One of which is Jonah Ray, I think his name is. He was the guy that like kind of took over as like the person in the Mystery Science Theater 3000 reboot.
Huh.
You'd know him if you saw him. He's in it for a little bit. He's actually the first guy to get killed, which spoiler, fuck you, because this movie sucks anyway. You know how like Rob Zombie's movies are written in a way where the language is like just off-putting?
Yeah, it's just there's no one that's likable.
No, yeah. So this was kind of written in that vein.
Super
Like I'm
crude.
no prude, but like everything was just about like, every single person the entire time was just like over the top, like screaming, swearing about like, oh, like records and bands and movies, and you have terrible opinions, and everybody that they know has a huge dick, and they're definitely gonna fuck tonight because it's Christmas Eve, and like it was just fucking stupid. And
Sounds like it was written by like 12-year-olds.
yeah, pretty much. And I mean,
leaned into that.
They really did. They really did. And like there's a part where the actor I was talking about, like the first kills occur in the toy store where the Santa Claus comes to life, and they're doing cocaine, and the girl that he's with pretty much is like, oh yeah, like if you give me an orgasm tonight, then you get to I'll cook you a meal and nothing but an apron, and you can eat my asshole afterwards. And he's like, why don't I just eat your asshole right now? And he starts fucking going to town on this girl's butt, and then they both get killed by this Santa Claus. And like the way that they shoot the kills, all of it is shot. It's shot like through a point of view like of the robot, so you don't actually see a lot like every single time, and it was stupid. And then the other two characters they follow are two people that are like the whole time they're like coworkers that you want to think aren't gonna have sex, and the whole time they talk about how much they're totally not gonna have sex, and then guess what, they end up having sex, and then the Santa Claus attacks. And I was like, you know what, I looked at Kat and I was like, what are we doing here? Like, there's too much shit to watch. Like, I can't. I gave this an hour and it's fucking terrible, so I can't give this any more of my time.
If I wanted to watch someone have their asshole eaten out, I'd watch something on Brazzers.
Not that there's anything wrong with analingus if like that's what you're into. I was just using it as an example, right? Because just like everything was just like so over the like.
I'm trying to think of a movie where someone's ass was actually eaten out that wasn't like like trying to wrap my brain around. That sounds like a first, actually. I'm gonna have to check this movie out.
Swear a lot. And I think that this was just a case of they were swearing so much because it was lazy writing.
Unnecessary. Yeah.
So that was my thought on it. I mean, if you're looking for something that is a stupid Christmas horror themed good time, maybe you'll have a different opinion than me, but I thought it was fucking brutal. I couldn't even finish it. So anyway, That's what I got. Slashback, Christmas Bloody Christmas, and Speak No Evil, which I'm sure we'll talk more about next week.
Nay.
Andrew, you care to go next?
Sure. So you already mentioned Slashback. I won't regurgitate any more of that. I did watch Troll on Netflix.
Yes.
That was a fun little movie. Nothing special, nothing great. A lot of nods to Jurassic Park, which I liked. Very entertaining movie. If you're just looking to watch something, it's like the horror elements are minuscule, if you ask me. But it was a fun watch. Check it out. It's called Troll. It's basically they're excavating some mountain, looking to I think they're trying to make like a tunnel to the other side or something. They awaken this mountain troll that's like gigantic, and it just bursts out and just starts wandering the hillside and killing people.
It sounds like my kind of movie, to be honest.
It's very entertaining.
Kat watched it too.
You watched it?
No, Kat watched it too.
Oh, Kat watched it too. Yeah, Kat was the one that brought it up, and I was like, Troll, and I was like, I'll check that out. It's entertaining. It's not. It's. I'd give it like a solid C. It's nothing to write home. Definitely worth checking out. Bored, just looking for a light, easy watch, something to watch with Sarah that she would actually watch with you.
Nah, dude, she would. I don't think she would.
She wouldn't even watch
that. For that one. Yeah,
it's pretty good. There's like a legit part in the movie where the guy says, like, it's like an exact line from Jurassic Park. It was the line like, "You spend too much time wondering if you could, but you never thought to think if you should." That line from the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like an exact line from it. I was like, it's basically Jurassic Park with
just ripping off Ian Malcolm totally.
Yeah, it was a nod because it was like it was like verbatim same line. And then there was a couple, like the woman that they bring in to help with the troll is what is it, a paleontologist or whatever, they dig up Dinosaurs. That's her.
So you guys dig up dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs underscore. So that was a fun little watch. Definitely no ill thoughts about that movie. And then I did watch on Netflix too. They have a series of short films called Oats Studios. They're all directed by Neil Blomkamp. I think how you pronounce his name.
Neil Blomkamp. Yeah, you're gonna kill me. I haven't done this yet, Andrew, but it's on. I didn't forget about you.
Oh no worries. So they're very entertaining. They're like 6 to 24-minute watches. Very similar in the vein of Love, Death, and Robots, Mike. So it's right up your alley. Definitely has some Black Mirror vibes to it. They basically were all written and they all aired on like Steam or Stream or YouTube, like back in 2016 as like samples to try and see if they wanted anybody would turn those to your film. There was 2 episodes in particular I'd recommend. The first episode, which is Rakaka or Raka, I don't know how you pronounce it, Rakka. It has Sigourney Weaver in it.
Rakaka.
And it's basically like this, these reptilians have come down to Earth and basically just built these structures, and they start taking over Earth, like methane towers, like change the entire environment of Earth. It's really cool. The reptilians are very, very cool. And then there's another one, I think it's episode 5, called Zygote, and it's basically these 2 people trapped in a Arctic mine, and there's some sort of monster or alien that's hunting them, and the monster gives off definite Thing vibes and Annihilation vibes, similar type of monster. So that one's really, and like even
that's that's the one you told me that I had to watch, right?
I
think it was both of these.
Zygote though is the one that's your alley. All of them are really good. Some of them are silly, but none of them are more than 24 minutes long. So like it's not hard to get through. I think in total it's maybe like,
what is this called?
Okay,
Oats Studios. That's literally what it's called. I was like, why is this called Oats?
On Netflix.
That's on Netflix.
Right. I think one of the biggest crimes against film that was never made was the the Neil Blomkamp Alien sequel that was going to be a direct sequel to Aliens and ignore Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. Do you guys ever hear about this before or see the concept art for it?
Negative.
Oh man, it looked so good. It was basically going to be like picking up directly after Aliens, and like Newt and Bishop were both gonna. Oh, Bishop was the android. What was the Michael Bain in Aliens? What was his name? Hicks. So Hicks, Bishop, and Newt, all the big characters from Aliens, were supposed. So they were infamously killed off screen in Alien 3. This was supposed to ignore all of that, and it looked really. So if you Google like Alien 5 concept art, Neil Blomkamp, it'll pop right up, and they were going to bring Sigourney Weaver back for it. It was going to be one of those legacy sequels that actually looked like it was going to be really, really good. So that's a shame that it never got made.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a damn shame.
Apparently Ridley Scott put the kibosh on it. So, because he was making Alien Covenant and and Prometheus.
Not gonna lie, I like Prometheus and Alien Covenant a lot. So I mean, if we get 2 good movies, then
as do I. All right, cool. Well, if I can here, because I know we're using Restream, maybe I'll try and use it to my advantage and bring some of this concept art up. But hold, please, and I'll defer to you, Matt. I know you said you had a lot that you watched. Why don't you take the reins and talk about it?
Try to breeze through these. So the first one I did was the original 1931 Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I had seen it when I was a kid, but I wanted to give it a rewatch, and absolutely fucking dope movie. Incredibly effective to this day, even. Extremely creepy. Dr. Jekyll is such a piece of shit, and that whole story is it's so well done, dude, and it really holds up. There's like parts of it that are pretty fucked up, and you're just realizing like he's just like, I just want to bang this chick and like cheat on my wife, but I'll just become this fucked up monster so that no one knows it's me. It's insane. But as it goes on, he just keeps becoming the monster, like without having to take the potion. It's just anytime he gets any sort of diabolical urges, just turns into him. So it plays well. It's nice short. I think it's like 75 minutes long, so that's always good. I watched, let's see, what else did I do? I watched Watcher. This is the Chloe, what's her name? Chloe Azuna or Akuno. Chloe Akuno.
This one with
movie.
Micah Monroe.
Yeah. So I finally got around to watching
Chihuahua.
this. I thought it was very good. It was better than I expected because I heard a few different things about it, kind of being slow and this, that, and everything. But it was interesting enough. I enjoyed it. So we'll be. I'm
I
sure
liked it too.
It'll get some talk next week, I think, on the top 10s list. So that'll be good. I watched Scare Package. The Scare Package comes out, I think, by the end of this month on Shudder.
I'm glad you brought that up. So
this is kind of an anthology movie. It was the gore and everything was really good, but it just was so not taking itself seriously that I kind of had a hard time with it. It's like really campy, like too campy. So I kind of was, I don't know, I had a hard time getting through this one. I'm hoping the second one's a little more honed in, because what they do with the horror stuff is really good, but the comedy aspect of it just really drives it off the rails, and I found it actually kind of unenjoyable. Let's see what's next. Dash Cam. This movie was fucking
I saw you
insane.
I saw you watch that. I was interested to see what you had to say about it.
This movie was crazy. So this was not what I expected, and it's super political, which I was sort of put off by right off the bat. But it was so over the top that it was actually really funny. So this movie had like a few really good like laugh out loud moments in it. And like the things that the girl says are just out of control. Like it's totally unhinged character. But once you can kind of move past that, it does play out really well. There's an incredibly effective car crash scene that is super fucked up. Mike, you've seen this, right?
I have. So actually, I paired this with what was the other found footage movie that we talked about it with? Yes. No, not Host. Shit, we talked about it with Justin McLaughlin, the episode that we did. Not Host. Deadstream. Deadstream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar. Andrew, have you seen Dash Cam?
I have not. What's that
It's
on
worth
Shudder?
watching. It's on Hulu.
Oh, Hulu.
Yeah. But Mike, that scene where they get into the head-on crash with that other car and the guy comes through their windshield, it's insane. Like that, I was like, whoa, dude, like that got real really quick. So there's a few really effective scenes like that in it, but it's also sprinkled in with some like really over the top. The comedy kind of doesn't stop, but the gore and the violence is so intense that it kind of keeps it going. It's like, other than like Scare Package where the comedy was like so ridiculous and not funny, that it didn't mesh well. But this one I thought did pretty good.
It went bananas with the cosmic horror at the end there too. That was just like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, that movie was out of control.
Which I liked. I actually thought that was the best part of the movie.
I watched Hatching as well. So this was another one from this year. Way better than I thought it was going to. So this is a Finnish movie. And I kind of thought it was just like this girl gets this egg and she hatches this giant bird monster, and then it's just like it's a giant bird monster. But there's a lot more to it, and it actually, I don't want to spoil it because I think you guys should watch it because it was way better than I thought it was.
This is on my list. Yeah, I want to see this.
It's the mom in this movie, piece of shit, absolutely awful person. But definitely check this one out. It is all in Finnish, so there's subtitles. But the story was great and the ending is crazy. So I was pleasantly surprised with this one. I was definitely.
Before we move on, can I offer you a nice egg in this trying time?
Can I offer you an egg in
Not
this
if that's
trying
a giant
time?
bird monster in it. No.
But other than those like really big ones, I watched Christmas Evil, which is just another rip-off 80s horror Santa slasher. Nothing really to write home about. Pretty sleazy. Definitely in the same vein as Silent Night, Deadly Night, and this, that, and the other thing. But other than what we're going to talk about tonight, which I've already seen so many times anyway, that's going to be my watch list for this week. Okay,
fair enough. You guys want to hear a little bit more from the mind of Kat on what she watched and what she has to say?
Oh yeah, why not? Oh yeah, bring it on.
Fair enough. So she actually she watched a lot, I have to say. I don't know necessarily. Excuse me. All of this applies to our show. Some of these things might. First of which is Inside Man on Netflix. You guys hear
I
about
love
this?
wait, is that the one with
It's David Tennant, the guy who played Doctor Who. He's fantastic. A great actor. He was in Broadchurch.
Oh, I'm thinking of Inside Man. Isn't that?
You're thinking of the Spike Lee movie with Clive Owen
Yeah, that movie.
and Denzel,
movie.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not that. This is a show on Netflix called Inside Man. It's got David Tennant from Broadchurch, and all Cat wrote about this is 1.5 thumbs up. Okay, so moving on. Black Summer.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
no. There's a few more. Black Summer. That is a Netflix zombie show that actually I've heard decent things about. I don't know if any of you guys watched any of this before.
Is that the one Stephen King's like all riled up about? Like he likes that one or a different one? There's another one.
I think it is. And I have to say I watched a couple episodes in the background while Kat was watching it, and it looked interesting. Walking Dead just ruined zombies for me, though. I gotta say, I don't know. Let's see. Kat wrote, Black Summer is a Netflix basic bitch zombie series. 1 thumb up. Kind of boring, kind of basic. Just watching it because I'm running low on things to watch and now need to see if it gets any better. I almost kind of want her to just write in her thoughts every episode.
I mean, these are way better than when she says
I feel like it's way more interesting.
it's better, more chuckles.
All right, let's see. What else? She also watched Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which I have not seen yet. Matt, did you watch this?
No, I heard it's really bad.
Yeah, this is a Stephen King adaptation that came out in October, and I've heard nothing but bad things about it. Kat says, anybody else watch this? I feel like I was, and I wasn't. I don't know what she means there. Anyone else watch this? I feel like I was, and I wasn't expecting more. It wasn't very scary. It wasn't very creepy, although I tried to it. It was just okay. I was hoping that there would be some substance to it, and it was never really there. Even as a high school kid kind of vibe, I still couldn't get behind it. That says a lot from Kat. The scariest, creepiest thing about this movie was the thug/bully who just looked very, in all caps, strange. I'll give it a 0.5 thumb, a digit, if you will.
A knock.
A knock. 1 knock.
We should just change it now to 1/2 tongue in reference to no evil.
A couple. So these final 3 things I did watch with her. So I'll comment on these again. So did anybody else happen to fucking watch the Guillermo del Toro stop motion Pinocchio movie on Netflix?
No, was that good?
Holy fuck, dude! It is about as bleak as the fucking day is long.
Wow. The story in general is bleak, isn't it? It's a fairly bleak story. The original.
It is. I really liked it. I thought it was good. Kat was expecting it to be a remake of the Disney film, and it was not. It was way darker, and I feel like I spent the first hour of the movie explaining to her what stop motion animation was, which I was surprised at because she's a graphic designer, and she was like, "Wait, no, what do you mean? It's not CGI." I was like, "No, Kat, listen, it's actual physical figures." And she was like, "What? Like people?" I was like, "No. Like
this Nightmare Before Christmas.
Anyway, the stop motion animation is incredible. Watch it for that alone. It's just incredible that Del Toro got this made. But it's very, very dark. Very dark. Lots of dead kids, lots of dead pets, lots of dead everybody. Very, very fucking dark.
Damn.
Kat said, 1 thumb, not super impressed. It was all right. I wouldn't watch it again. And then beyond that, we also decided to watch 2 dark Christmas episodes of South Park. First of which was Woodland Critter Christmas, which Matt, I know you also watch as well. It's a yearly rewatch for us. Fantastic episode of South Park television and Christmas television. Kat said, if I only had more thumbs to give it more than 2 thumbs, way up. And we also watched the Merry Christmas Charlie Manson episode. Kat also said, great episode, 2
Underrated.
thumbs, way up.
That one falls way under the radar, I feel like, because it's so old. And I think it's before like the Mr. Hanky thing all came out. So that's a good one. And like Cartman's relatives always crack me up because they're
Cartman's family made the whole thing for me. They all look and talk like him. It just cracked me the fuck up. So I was dying. That was great. All right. Anywho, anything else before we dive into this movie that we're about to talk about here, gentlemen?
Negative.
All right,
Go.
cool. Well, before we do so, why don't we take a quick 90-second break for a word from our sponsors? We'll be right back.
It's official. The critics' decision is in.
Spooky World is spectacular.
Enter the new black hole.
If you dare.
Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park, Spooky World.
Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Sleepy Clovers.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's killer this year. Then be next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
Hey, and we're back. Happy Festivus. Anywho,
You
I got a lot of problems with you
silk
people.
Sheet with a hot babe if you.
I lost my train of thought. All right, guys. So we're talking about Black Christmas tonight. I feel like this one is way, way, way overdue. Matt, I know this is your first Christmas season with us, and I can't believe this is a movie that we hadn't talked about in the podcast yet, and I knew it was one that we were going to talk about when you came on board. So,
Glad.
yeah, man. I mean, I feel like this is just... I think it's fair to say this is like the creme de la creme of Christmas horror movies, especially among hardcore horror fans. I don't feel like that is an exaggeration on my part in any way, shape, or form. Any way, shape, or form. And I guess just an overthought here. It's very easy to see, how this was an inspiration for John Carpenter when he made Halloween. I know this came out 5 years prior to that. It's been widely reported that this was a huge influence on Carpenter, and I feel like if you think about these two movies side by side, you can absolutely see it. So with that being said, I guess I'll go out of left field here. Andrew, I know that you're not the biggest Halloween fan. What were your thoughts on Black Christmas? Had you seen this movie before? Had you not seen it before? What do you think about this movie? I'll kick it off to you.
I'd seen it a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times. It had been a while. Definitely, I would say out of all the slasher films that there are, this is probably my favorite slasher film. I mean, that's not saying a lot in and of itself, but it's a very well done movie. Everybody's a piece of shit, drunk. Everyone's just hammered the whole time. I don't really like any of the characters. They're all either annoying, drunk, or a piece of shit. The twist at the end is great. Very well done. The fact that poor girl is just sitting up in the attic the whole time with a plastic bag over her while her poor dad's just looking for her. It's like, no one thought to why not look in the attic? Like, what are we doing here? Like, even at the end of the movie, after they arrest or they take all the bodies out, no one thought to think to, look up in the attic. Just up there. Just let her go to bed. It's fine. No one cares. It's good.
That is an egregious miscarriage of justice. Like, how does nobody look upstairs?
If you watch it again at the end of the movie, when you can overhear all the people downstairs talking, you hear that they're going to come back and they'll do a full sweep of the house.
Wouldn't you do the full sweep before you leave someone there?
Because the dad passes out and they rush him out the door to get him into the hospital.
Maybe take the girl that's like in a coma to the hospital. I mean, I feel like she's like in a coma. Like, oh, she just needs rest.
No, they sedated her.
Yeah, so do that in a hospital. Don't leave her in this house.
True.
But because movie, I love the phone calls. It's just so like, is he really? Is that guy whoever plays?
Do you love them? Or they're the best part of the movie, and they're incredibly uncomfortable and weird.
They're just really uncomfortable and weird. But it's like the range like that can't be one person. It was pretty impressive.
Certainly the creepiest part of the movie, I think, by far, were the phone calls.
Oh
They
yeah.
were like over the top, dude. I remember the first time I watched it, even the first phone call at the beginning of the movie. It's just like the things that he's saying, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, holy fuck, guy, reel it in.
Yeah, it's gross. It's just gross. Yeah. Because, this is just one of those movies where it feels entirely plausible, right? I mean, I feel like there's nothing that's happening here that's supernatural or necessarily like over the top crazy. Like, this definitely feels grounded and real enough where it feels like this could certainly happen.
Yeah, entirely.
Or it certainly could have happened,
Yeah, that's
it borrows a lot from Psycho, I think.
Yep.
And Psycho is very much could be a realistic situation. But the phone calls for sure are fucking, they're heavy. Like they get worse and worse and worse as the movie goes on, and it's frightening. Like, that is a crazy person.
Oh my God, yeah. And especially I feel like the most frightening part is just like the fact that it goes to several different voices. Like, in one phone call, that's just so unsettling and creepy and weird. Also, and it's just like, I feel like it's just like the whole thing about this movie, and just, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Andy, I'll go back to you, but like, ringing phones scare me because you never know like who's on the other end. Especially, I feel like in any horror movie, answering a phone is never a good idea. It's just always something weird and scary and creepy on the other end. And on this end, first of all, it takes the cops 8,000 years to try and track like whoever's on this fucking phone call. The guy that was at like the big phone place he was taking his sweet ass time. He's just like, gallivanting up and down the hallways trying to find out where this call is being traced from. But like, I guess. I mean, but the content of these phone calls is just so despicable and disgusting. It's just like, ugh, God, it makes you, it's just creepy because these things I'm sure do happen and can happen.
One thing about the phone calls that's highly unlikely. Those phone calls could not have been taking place inside that house because the guy's screaming into the phone and there's people screaming in the background. And wouldn't someone like hear that in the house? Like, it's just in the lady's bedroom upstairs and he's screaming into the phone.
Well, I mean, again, you'd think so, but because movie, maybe not.
It is a big house.
That's true.
It's certainly a big house.
The one call where they have, it's later in the movie when he's talked to the police and they're monitoring the call, and it's like, it sounds like he's like yelling at a little kid, and then there's a mother yelling at him, and at the end, and she's like, just like having a wart removed, and then it hangs up, and she's just like, oh my God, like, what the fuck was that? It's just like, you can't even imagine, like, what the fuck, what is that, what are you talking about? Like, it was super twisted and just over the top. It's like, holy fuck.
Well, that's what's even weirder about it is because that's the conversation she had with her boyfriend at like his recital hall or whatever when she met him. So there's more than one of these, correct? There's like 3 of these movies.
I mean, there's
isn't there
remakes.
A sequel? There's no sequels. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out who it was that did this because he had to have been hanging around.
You don't know.
He had to have been hanging around when they had that argument because he knew what was said.
Because I don't want to like. We can do a spoiler alert in a little bit, but in terms of the killer, like, it's very ambiguous, like who throughout the whole movie, who it is and who it's speculated to be. And at that point, that's leading you in that direction. Obviously, it's constantly tugging you in different directions as to who it could be. But those phone calls are fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, they're wild phone calls.
Because I usually only watch this movie like once a year around Christmas time. So I kind of let myself get enough time away from it that every time I do watch it, I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, it really is an insane movie.
Dude, if someone was calling me, having those things, I would have fucking left. Like, I'm not staying here anymore. Yeah. Or I would have unplugged the phone and be like, I'm never answering this phone again. Because no one of any consequence is calling except for this psychopath. I'm good. I don't want to live here.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, I was going to say there's something about this too that I think makes it stand alone from other slasher movies, and I think it makes it the scariest. Is that it's towards the end when Jess goes up and she sees him like looking through the light, and you can only see his eye, and he goes to reach for it. You don't really see the guy at all. You only see his hands a little bit, but she like slams his hand in the door, and he's like chasing her, and like this isn't like Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or Jason, or like even like Freddy says some stuff, but like Michael Myers and Jason and like Leatherface, those guys are like silent. They don't say a thing. This dude is just screaming, chasing her, just yelling like a maniac. And to me, that is so much scarier because you're just like, this dude is completely out of control. Like it just that was really the thing that drove it home for me, is like, you're literally like, this guy's a fucking psycho. And he is just like between the phone calls, just the angry yelling, chasing her, like, and it just slamming at the door after she shuts it. I was like, dude, like when I was like finishing watching it last night, I was like laying in bed. I was like, dude, my heart is like pounding. I was like, this is fucking insane. And I've always just thought
it's an incredibly disturbing movie, I would think.
Yeah.
When you think of like, obviously, like it doesn't in terms of the movies that are out now, it's not necessarily that shocking. This came out in 1974, but I feel like in terms of the content, like when you think about it, so this movie was one of those movies that it was like, there was a ton of outrage about it because it was a Christmas horror movie. Granted, it was 1974 outrage, which isn't necessarily the same as 2022 outrage.
Pretty progressive
but,
movie.
It is an aggressive movie, especially for 1974. Progressive and aggressive, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, horror movies have always been progressive, which you got to give them credit for.
But this touches on a lot of themes that are still like hot topics today.
Yeah.
Which we don't have to get into the political side of that, but like I remember, I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, wow, like this movie, if made today, would be the talk of the fucking town.
Oh yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that there have been 2 remakes of this movie in recent years, which I feel like are both inferior to this, is what I would say.
Exactly.
Yep, for sure. One of which was a Blumhouse piece of trash that came out 3 years ago, Matt? Something like that.
I didn't watch it. I saw the one from like 2006, and it was so bad.
They made a remake in 2006, and they made another remake, maybe because the other one was so bad that like, let's make another remake.
Well, I think so. The 2006 one, I think, was pretty much like in the vein of like the Texas Chainsaw remake and like those sorts of remakes, where it was just again. And one thing I noticed about watching this movie again this time, like watching it with a critical eye, is the fact that like it's amazing how much of the violence is either depicted off screen or implied. You really don't see a lot, which, and obviously, like this was a huge inspiration for John Carpenter for Halloween, and that's another movie where it's essentially a bloodless film. And I feel like the reputation of this movie almost kind of gives it more of makes you think it's going to be a gorier movie than it actually is, when in fact it isn't. Like, you really don't see too much. Like, there's some blood, but it's not the goriest movie you've ever seen. It's not like a torture porn movie set on Christmas, which is what you'd be led to believe based on some of the reaction to this movie. And I think that makes it better, in my opinion, is the fact that it's just like it's more of what's implied, and it's just a creepier thing as opposed to just like, you know, seeing a bunch of sorority girls getting butchered on Christmas, which any movie could do that. I feel like this set out to do something different, and it did. And that's one of the reasons that it's held to a higher standard. I think the highest standard of Christmas horror movies.
It's very classy. It lacks that, like, what people would refer to. Like, there was a big issue with slashers in the 80s being called misogynistic because you just have these aggressive men killing naked college girls. And this one holds them to a higher standard. They're not just these like bimbos that are waiting to get killed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have real life problems. They're dealing with real issues on their own terms. Like, they have character. They have substance, and they're not just naked chicks that are getting killed after they have sex with their boyfriend.
Yeah, none of them are naked. I don't think, and I think they're all to a certain degree pretty likable.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, Andrew, that's what you came in hot with that. I was like, oh, I thought that they were all kind of.
Well, Margot Kidder's character extremely.
She's a drunk. Yeah,
she's just hammered the whole time, mean to all her friends. She's
Andrew, she would fit right in with us. Like, why? Yeah. What is your problem with her?
Well, she's kind of a bitch to everybody.
I guess
she's kind of a bitch to everybody. Yeah, I guess in general they're not like all just giant. Barb is who is the one with the glasses. Gerb. She was nice. Phil. Yeah. Claire, obviously, you don't get to accept in the rocking chair.
I loved the house mother. What was her name? Oh my God, Mrs. Mack. Mrs. Mack. She was great. Great character. Just pulling Honestly, and I thought one of the most refreshing things about this movie was the amount of laughs that it had. Like, I actually got a good few chuckles out of this. I thought the comedy in it was definitely a welcome relief at times, especially due to some of the uncomfortable things that were in this movie. But yeah, Mrs. Mack, great character, just pulling booze everywhere, out of the toilet, out of her suitcase, out of books, out of fucking everything, just out of thin air, pulling booze out, just drinking.
She's got a supply.
Brandy, like a psycho, like a sicko.
Sherry, she wasn't drinking brandy.
She's drinking
Sherry,
anything she can get her goddamn hands on, dude.
Yeah.
So I found this when I was researching this movie earlier. So do you know who that role was initially offered to, and it was turned down?
Mrs. Mack.
Mrs. Mack. Betty Davis.
I was gonna guess like Meryl Streep.
Nah, that would have been funny too. But yeah, Betty Davis was offered the role of Mrs. Mack. It was turned down. And then also a smaller role in the movie, while we're on casting alternatives. Phyllis Carlson. I think she was the nerdy girl with the glasses and like the fro.
Yeah.
Originally offered to Gilda Radner, most famous for one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live.
That makes sense. Same person.
Apparently, she accepted the part but had to drop out about a month before it was filmed because of her commitments to SNL. So, thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The main cop, I feel like he's done that role. Like, what other movies was
he's the
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, that's what it was. I was like, why? Mm-hmm. How do I know him?
Same exact character in Nightmare on Elm Street.
He's also in he's in a really popular Giallo movie.
The first Giallo movie. Giallo. What's it called? Hold on. What's his name? I'm gonna have to look it up. Hold on. Keep talking. I'll figure it out.
But, it's gonna bother me. He's also in Enter the Dragon. Pretty cool. But I like watched it a few months ago, and I just can't remember the name because the names of those movies are insane.
Was it an Argento?
So his name is John Saxon. Is his name?
I want to say it was either. It's not Tenebrae. It's not Deep Red.
It's not the one with it's not the one where the guy's a writer.
No, it's Tenebrae.
That's not that one.
Is it Opera? I don't know. Mike's on the case right now.
Cannibal Apocalypse. Let's see. Beyond Evil. I mean, what year am I looking at here? Black Christmas 74, actually. So, oh man, I don't even know. He's in so many movies. There's a lot here.
I know that guy's face. I've just seen like a billion times in my life.
Yeah, he's got a lot of credits.
Yeah, John Saxon's stage name. His name is he was born Carmine Orico. He's from Italy. So yeah, that makes sense. He was the first Giallo film.
Good luck finding out which one it was.
I'll find it.
But Matt, I guess when we're talking about like slashers, like I mean,
it was Tenebrae. Sorry.
Do you? Okay. It was Tenebrae.
Yeah,
okay.
he was a detective in that too, probably.
Yeah,
because that's pretty much.
He just has that. He has that look to him.
He's got the eyebrows.
So this movie, by the way, is written and directed by a guy named Bob Clark. He's a Canadian director, which is wild to me because he also is. So he directed Black Christmas in 1974, and then he's also the most famous for directing A Christmas Story. So two of the most famous Christmas movies ever made, this guy directed Black Christmas
opposite ends of the spectrum.
And A Christmas Story on total polar opposite ends of the spectrum.
Got to give that guy props then.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I think it's just wild that he made both of these. He made, arguably the most feel-good Christmas movie of all time, and the Christmas movie that people hate the most of all time because they,
we should
they got to clutch their pearls.
And see if there's any things that
Easter eggs.
Tie it. Yeah, not even Easter eggs, but just themes throughout the movies that are. This is a fun-loving part of this, but then this is what happens if you do it on the opposite end. There's got to be some sort of formula that he has for brilliance.
What did A Christmas Story come out, 1984? I think it was 10 years later.
82? I think it was 82.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point being, so Bob Clark directed this movie and also Christmas Story. He doesn't consider, he's gone on record saying that he doesn't consider Black Christmas to be a slasher movie. He considers to be more of a psychological thriller, which I feel you could say for those other 70s slashers as well. So the most famous 70s slasher movies are obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas, Halloween. Do you guys consider this to be a slasher movie?
I think I would put it as close to the do you call Psycho a slasher?
See, I don't. I mean, I guess it's a precursor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like it, because it's not really a
it's classier. Like it's very well done.
Yeah,
And like that's what I was saying. Like the story has substance. Like you're also entangled with this whole situation of Olivia Hussey, her character.
Yes, Olivia Hussey. Yep.
Her character being pregnant and wanting to get an abortion, and her boyfriend not wanting her to, and you're like, well, what's going to happen with that? And then this dad is looking for her daughter, who's the first girl to get killed. You're like, are they going to go up in the attic and figure it out? Like, is this guy just in their house the whole time? There's a lot of things going on where you look at movies like Friday the 13th. It's just like they're just at a camp. Someone's killing them all.
And now she didn't kill her boyfriend, right? He was definitely killed by the kid.
It's definitely meant to be ambiguous.
Yeah.
I did like how they make a point of it when they show the shot where she sees the killer through the door.
That his eyes,
you can see that he has brown eyes and then he has green eyes. You're like, oh, there you go. Good job. I like
that's a sneaky pickup too.
Sneaky.
Well, because if they had just made that movie and it ended with it basically her boyfriend was the killer, who you would have called from the beginning of the movie, basically, it wouldn't have been.
We would have sucked.
Yeah.
Oh, so speaking of which, I don't mean to step on our conversation here, but I forgot that I still do have some thoughts from Kat written down here about Black Christmas. This is her first time. This is her first time seeing this movie, which again is just incredible to me. But let's see, Black Christmas. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I liked it. I don't even think I knew what it was about until we watched it, to be honest. The whole plot line with the sorority/college campus vibe was fun. The open ending was interesting, and it was overall maybe a movie I might fit in every other year as a holiday watch. Am I giving thumbs? I think I'll give it 2 thumbs. Not way up, but it gets 2 thumbs.
I like that
a direct quote.
I like that you read her notes as if you're Casey Kasem reading fan mail on the radio.
I
don't know how else to read
that any better. That is perfect. Right? I have a dedication to my long lost friend who I haven't seen 74.
I'm Scott Hansen. 8 hours of commercial-free football starts right now. And it's the witching hour where wins become losses and losses become wins.
We're going to go to
Whoa! Giddy up. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, I feel like there's no other way to read Kat's comments. It just comes naturally.
Oh, it was good. It's like audible chocolate.
Oh, goodness. Anywho, where were we? We were talking about what? Black Christmas, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, a couple things that I found out. Pretty easy to see this is based on the old urban legend that the phone calls are coming from inside the house. Just like, what's the other fucking movie?
When a Stranger Calls?
Yes, When a Stranger Calls. Yep, same thing. Apparently, so this is a Canadian movie. This was inspired by the Babysitter and the Man Upstairs urban legend, the series of murders that took place in the Westmount neighborhood of Montreal. According to an article from the Telegraph that I found today, the murders they occurred in 1943, where a 14-year-old boy bludgeoned several members of his family to death. So there's that, and that's pretty dark. And the movie was also shot in Toronto, just to keep the Canadian theme going here. An estimated budget of $620,000 was distributed by Warner Brothers in North America. And this, at the time, was the 3rd highest grossing Canadian film of all time, grossing $2 million behind the... Listen to the names of these movies. The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz, 1974, and the French-language film De Femme en Or from 1970, directed by Claude Fournier. Overall, Black Christmas grossed over $4.1 million internationally, managing to earn more than its budget of $620,000. So good for Black Christmas.
I was distracted. Who was Claude Fournier?
Claude Fournier. He was director of a French-language Canadian film called De Femme en Or.
And he also, what did he have to do with Black Christmas?
It was the 3rd high. So basically, this Black Christmas was the 3rd highest grossing Canadian film of all time.
Oh, I was wondering if that was a nod
yeah,
to
yeah.
Claude the
No.
cat. I was like, Claude.
No, Claude the cat. I forgot about
Yeah.
Claude the cat. Yes.
I want
yes,
Claude
yes.
the cat. Claude's very flute, that cat.
You love cats. Claude was a good cat. I hope that the killer, Billy, by the way, Matt, I know you want to spoil it, right? That's what it's alluded to have been. I hope Billy did not kill Claude the cat, because Claude was a good floofy boy.
It looked like Claude was just licking the dead person's plastic wrap. It's like the scene where the cat's just climbing up on the dead body. Just,
Cats do have a reputation for eating dead people, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if Claude was, eating.
He was hungry.
Attic girl. Yeah.
It's wild how much of like a comfort, like it's a Christmas movie. I read a thing that said that this was Elvis's favorite Christmas movie or favorite horror movie, and he watched it every Christmas up until he died. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Which is only 3 Christmases.
Wow, that's pretty fucking wild. I have to say, who'd have thunk? Elvis's favorite horror movie and favorite Christmas movie, Black Christmas.
Right.
I feel like I'm just gonna have a hard time because usually what we do, in our house on Christmas is, at some point during the day, we'll throw on A Christmas Story.
Yeah. It's on TBS for fucking 24 hours.
Yeah, it's for 24 hours, which I feel like is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. It's not that great of a movie. There's no need
do it on
for it to be on
Thanksgiving,
for
too.
It's
3
fine
days
to
straight.
watch one time a day or one time a year. Yeah.
There's no need for it to be on for fucking a day and a half. It's really not that good. But anyway, I just feel like I'm going to have a hard time now that I've seen this movie again, watching the Christmas Story or A Christmas Story without thinking about this movie and just thinking about the demented side of like the guy that directed that feel good Christmas movie directed this
and he wrote it.
Twisted ass movie. Yeah.
He wrote it too, which is the really fucked up part. I guess when they
good
were
on
doing
Bob good on Bob Clark.
When they were doing the phone calls, I guess when they were filming it, they had them listening to like much more tame dialogue, and then he spliced in the C words and the threatening cunnilingus later. So,
threatening cunnilingus.
That's what it was.
We've now talked about analingus, cunnilingus, and all sorts of oral sex tonight on the show. Hooray!
Hooray, lingus, fellatio.
Bless.
Yeah.
Fellatio.
But I guess that I imagine is just to be polite and not have to have the young women listen to such actual awful fucking things directly into their ear from another person saying them.
Probably a good idea. Good thought.
I mean, it was just
good instinct on his end.
Yeah. Bravo, Bob Clark.
Bob Clark.
All right, Bob. Gentlemen, have we exhausted all of our thoughts on Black Christmas, or do we have anything else before we sign off for the evening?
I'll say it is definitely one of the most... I think it's an underrated slasher for sure. There's still a lot of people that I'll talk about this movie and they've never seen. I'll say it's underrated. It's one of the best slashers, if not the best slasher of all time. And it's also the best Christmas horror movie. And nothing will ever top it. And it's fucking perfect. It's a perfect movie, in my opinion. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I think it's definitely the best Christmas horror movie ever made. I think by far. I don't know that it's necessarily my personal favorite Christmas horror movie, but I can see why it's an all-time classic. Absolutely, it's just I. There's a reason that the classics are the classics, and when you watch this movie, if you haven't seen it in a while, you can see why. You can see why.
That 2 years.
This operates on a different level than most of the casual slasher horror movies that you'll see.
The movie's coming up on its 50th anniversary. Wild.
Is that right? 2024, 50 years?
Yeah.
Wow. 50 fucking years. That means that Halloween will be 50 years old in 2028. I mean, we're a while away from now.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Exorcist will be 50 years next year.
No, and to celebrate that, we'll be getting a new trilogy of films from David Gordon Green. Are you excited for those?
Nope.
Good man. Good man. Me neither. Leave it alone, Blumhouse. Leave it alone.
I'll watch it because I have to.
I got to say, so, a little behind the scenes stuff here for the show. We were supposed to record an episode last week, but it didn't end up happening, where we were going to talk about the best studios in horror, where we all were given certain studios, and we were going to draft the best movies from said studios. And I got Blumhouse and A24. And I was reviewing the Blumhouse catalog, my God, there's some trash in there. Oh my God, is there
It
some
can't be any
garbage?
worse than Dark Castle, whatever the fuck that studio.
I'd have to research Dark
Absolute
Castle. I don't
trash.
even know what's in there.
I came up with 2. My third wasn't even a horror movie. I'm like, nope, I'm not picking this trash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
had
right.
Paramount and Rogue, so Rogue didn't have very much to offer.
Fair enough. Andrew, any final thoughts on Black Christmas?
Not really. Solid. It's horror movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Stop being.
If you don't like this movie, fuck you. Here's what I'd say. If you haven't seen Black Christmas or you're looking to watch Black Christmas, it's streaming on Shudder right now.
You can also watch it for free on YouTube.
Or Tubi.
Oh, okay. Cool.
YouTube, you don't even
So
have
you
to
can watch it
with ads.
a bunch of different places.
Someone uploaded like a 4K HD version of it.
Oh wow, I watched like a pretty rugged Tubi cut, but I didn't mind because I don't mind watching older movies with kind of a rough cut.
It's kind of nice. It helps set the.
Yeah, the quality on Shudder wasn't that great, I have to say. It was left a little bit to be desired. So if there's a 4K version on YouTube, I mean, hey, watch it. As long as it's not illegally uploaded.
I mean, it's like the first one that shows up, so I can't imagine that it's illegally uploaded. I think they made their money off that movie.
I mean, I'm not going to prosecute you, Andrew.
I think most of the people.
Comment.
I think most of the
I'm
people.
not gonna make a citizen's arrest.
I think most of the people that are involved in that movie are dead, so I don't think it really matters.
Is Margot Kidder dead? I think she's alive.
If she probably looks like a
Olivia
skeleton
Hussey's
right now.
still alive.
Bob Clark's dead. I know that. I don't know. Listener, why don't you do a little bit of research yourself and report back to us and tell us if most of the people that are in this movie are dead. Let us know.
It's 50 years old.
I bet the cat's dead.
That cat's
the cat's definitely dead.
I wonder
Poor
if our buddy the detective, he's got to be.
He's dead.
John
He's
Paxton?
dead for sure.
Is he?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he's dead. Yeah, he dead. He dead for sure.
How about the mother of the house? House mother.
I mean, she was like 70 in that movie, so she's definitely dead 50 years later, unless she lived to be 120. I mean,
If she's not dead, she's definitely not doing great.
She's probably pickled from all the sherry she's drank.
Pickled. I love it. All right, well, now that I've made a citizen's arrest, I feel like I should fucking sign off here and say sayonara. Thanks for tuning into another episode of America's Hometown Horror. We appreciate you coming back, and we'll be back next week again for another episode. And again, possibly the episode that I'm the most excited for all year, which is our top 10 horror movies of the year episode. We're all going to be here, the three of us and Kat, probably the spooky hound dog, Otis, the official hound dog of America's Hometown Horror. He'll probably be here too, barking and being a pain in the ass and chiming in on his favorite horror movies of the year. But come back, check it out. In the meantime, you can find that episode along with this particular episode wherever you're listening right now to your podcasts. But we're also on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, and wherever else you may get your podcasts. My name is Mike. I'm your host. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the show, and I've been joined by my esteemed co-hosts, Matt and Andrew. You guys, good tidings to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas. Blah-de-blah, blah, 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 blah.
Feliz
Happy
Navidad.
New Year.
Feliz Navidad and good evening. Did you fuck my mom, Santa? Did you fuck my fucking mom, Santa? Did you fuck my mom? Did you fuck her? Did you fuck her?
It's like the phone calls,
All right.
dude.
Right? All right.
I'm scared.
All right. Goodbye and Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Hey, Christmas,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.